Hey everyone, this is Dr. Mark Schillinger, and this is, I think, my third or fourth Facebook Live. And trust me, I am a great parent coach and youth mentor. Operating Facebook, not so much. I think we're connected and ready to go. So today's talk is about how to be an alpha parent. And here's what I mean by alpha. Let me tell you what I don't mean first. Alpha parents are not the ones who are yelling, screaming, punishing, and demanding. That's not what I mean by being an alpha. Raising a teen son in this day and age is almost impossibly difficult. First of all, you have to take care of yourself, which is almost impossible to do. You got to do your best to take care of your spouse, which is really hard to do. You have to earn enough money to pay the bills, which is increasingly getting harder for many of us, me included. You have to try to maintain good relationships with the people at work. There's a lot to do. When parents come home from work and they have to deal with their teen children, they're usually loud. They're usually intense. That's not a good alpha parent. An alpha parent is somebody who knows how to get their children to be more caring and more cooperative without yelling, without screaming, and certainly without punishing. And finally, without long lectures that you should know, you better know, that your teen children are turning you off to. After about 3 or 4 or 5 sentences, that's it. That's all you got. When I coach parents, I teach them how to say everything in 3 to 5 sentences because that's all you got. They have a short attention span for you. An alpha parent is somebody who knows how to remain calm at all times. So before I go into the 6 major traits that an alpha parent has, I want to let you know that your teenagers, your children, they have a natural built-in bullshit detector. That bullshit detector lets them know if you, their parent, is capable of teaching them how to make it in that outside world out there. At this age, they do have one foot in childhood still, especially with the advent of these devices. That's all they want to do is be on the devices. I know that. And they still also have another foot that's leading them towards independence. And we know that most of the young children, certainly that I coach, and the parents know that most of them think they're ready because they feel like it's the biological time to go, and we know they're not ready. So you have to know how to be an alpha parent because your children can detect if you're the ones who can lead them to the land of maturity and independence. And even though they'll never tell you that, that's 2 million years of biological evolution. That's not changing, not anytime soon. So no matter how distracted you or your children are from these devices, your children still have the drive to want to leave, even though we know they don't know how to do it. And when you are being demonstrative with them, you're losing their respect. Now, I know that sounds crazy to say, I pay for everything, I do everything for them. How could I possibly not have their respect? It's because they don't know what it's like to be a parent. They know what it's like to be a teen child who's distracted and diverted by all their devices. So, in order to motivate and inspire your teen children, especially your son, who wants to be given information in a very specific way, you have to follow a couple of basic guidelines or develop these characteristics, I'll put it like that. Now, how do I know this? I know this because I started the nonprofit Young Men's Ultimate Weekend. This is a modern rite of passage adventure camp. It's an initiation for young men. I started this with my son Gabe many decades ago. And so I have literally been in the trenches, in the dirt, with thousands and thousands and thousands of young men, just like your son. I hear what they want. I hear what they say about you, their parents. And I also figured out a way to communicate to them like an alpha so that they do the things they know they need to do. That's another thing. They won't tell you that they know what they need to do because they'd rather not do it. They'd rather have you do it for them, which many of you do. So the first trait of an alpha parent is compassion. Here's why. Some of you may say, well, why should I be compassionate towards him or her? I'm the one doing all the work. The reason why you want to be compassionate when you begin to communicate with a teen is because, like I said, they have one foot in babyhood and childhood, one foot in young adulthood. They're confused. On the one hand, they want you to do everything for them. Why wouldn't they? If I could have somebody do everything for me, I'd do it. Trust me. So would you probably. So on the one hand, they want you to do everything. On the other hand, they want to go. They want to get out. They want to explore. They want to experiment. They want to experience life out there. Be compassionate because this is new for them. And they don't have the prefrontal cortex capability of articulating all their fears and all their concerns and all what they're experiencing. So have compassion because they're doing their best to figure out what is this world? How do I fit into it? How do I get out when I know I want to stay and yet I know I want to go? So have some compassion for them. How will you demonstrate that you have compassion? Well, the second feature of an alpha parent is calmness. Not loudness, calmness. Alphas are calm. They only get outrageous when they need to. And then everybody is scared crapless and they jump in line. Okay? That doesn't work in modern parenting, trust me. That's a very old school way. It's not happening anymore. When I coach parents, because as a doctor, my specialty is in stress management, and I actually teach other doctors how to teach their patients how to relax in 15 seconds or less. So my parents are black belts at learning how to relax 15 seconds or less right in front of their screaming son. If you want to get the respect of your son, you're going to have to stay calm. Yes, it's normal to have a reaction and want to kill him and beat him up and yell and scream and punish. You have to learn to recognize that you're in that reaction and don't say anything until you calm yourself down. So compassion is sort of a context. You want to be compassionate with your team because they're trying to figure it out. And then calmness. When you can demonstrate to your team's son that you can stay calm no matter how immature he's behaving or believing, you'll start to earn his respect and he'll start following your wisdom. But until then, ain't never going to change. Ain't never going to change. You can have the best therapists and doctors in the world. Until you're calm, they're not going to respect you and follow you. That's trait number 2. Trait number 3, curiosity. You have to be willing not to speak when they're speaking, even when you know the answer, even when you know the solution, even when they're lying. It's okay to not interrupt. Alphas don't need to interrupt because they have another important quality of an alpha, which is certainty, which I'll come to in a moment. So if you already know the answer to something, don't interrupt, don't interject, don't do anything other than let them talk. There's something very critical about children, even teen children, who need to feel bonded to their parents. Emotionally bonded. That's how you're going to get them to listen to you. So let them speak. Just be curious. Stay open-minded about what they're really saying, or more importantly, what they're really trying to say, because they haven't learned how to articulate it clearly yet. So stay open. There's a time and place to respond. This is not the time. Just listen. Okay? The next quality or trait is certainty. Certainty means that you are communicating with another trait, clarity. Okay? So certainty means that you know what you're communicating. Clarity means that you are already very clear what virtue, what value, and what behavior you know your son needs to learn in order to make it in the outside world. And you can be clear in 3 to 5 sentences. So that's another alpha quality or trait, is brevity. So we have compassion, calmness, clarity, certainty, and now brevity. Brevity is radically important because if you can get yourself to the point where you can communicate to your teen son in 3 to 5 sentences, you're going to get his attention. You're definitely going to have his attention. The main idea for you is to be brief, clear about what you're saying, confident in what you're saying, calm in what you're saying, and compassionate to the person you're speaking with. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're going to say, well, my son is rude. He's disrespectful. He's all these things. I know that. I've been coaching young men for 20 plus years. Thousands, not hundreds, not dozens, thousands of young men. I know what they're thinking because they tell me what they think of all of you. And they begin to change their behavior when you change yours. If your goal is to have more caring relationships with your son and more cooperation with your son, and hopefully you have an effective method of consequencing your son. If you have a good method for consequencing and you want more caring and more cooperative relationships, you need to communicate like an alpha. As you start the mastery of that, and it's going to take months to do, and I'll teach you how to do that. If you become proficient in communicating like an alpha, you'll be amazed at how your son's going to respect you more, respond to you more, instead of giving you the old answer, I don't know. They'll actually respond when they feel safe to respond. And in other Facebook Live videos, I'll show you how to communicate. I'll show you how to motivate. I'll talk to you about how to consequence in a way that they'll actually respond to. I'm just trying to give you a big picture here in part 1 of how to be an alpha parent. And by the way, after the video ends, which it will in a minute, I'll put up later a slide that I have for you that details those alpha traits that you need to have. So I just want to let you know in closing here that I've been doing this work for a very long time. Lots of parents have attended my workshops or coached with me privately. Lots of young men have coached with me privately or have attended the Young Men's Ultimate Weekend. Here's what I've learned, and I'll summarize everything up by just saying this. The calmer you are about yourself, about your family, about your life, even when things are going bad, if you can demonstrate that you can relax to adversity in front of your family, they're going to pay attention. Stress is the #1 killer for human beings, mental stress. You're going to have to learn to relax. And by the way, children and teens suffer from stress too. It's called general anxiety disorder. And they're mostly stressed out about our stress. Really, I say that with no judgment. Believe me, I know I've parented teens. Learn to become calm quickly. That is the most fundamental trait that an alpha has. So keep watching the videos. I'll teach you all these skills. It takes time to implement. As you implement them, you'll be amazed at the results, at how responsive in a positive way your son will be. And thank you for watching me on Facebook Live. So you press on.